Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. With me today is my buddy Troy Brittingham. How are you, sir?
I have no complaints.
Good. That's good to hear. I'm Jeff. Thank you for asking.
What are your complaints?
My complaints: global warming, war, all over, just literally all over. Ron DeSantis.
Okay. Okay. Putting Ron.
95 was shut down today because Kamala Harris was in town.
All right.
Any other day, I'd love Kamala Harris. Today, I was like, yeah, fuck that bitch.
I'm usually not overly ecstatic about the woman, but I'll have to give it to you.
And my wife is here with us today. Hi, Red. How are you, dear?
Hi. Oh, wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, isn't it? We are here to talk about Robert J. Oppenheimer. J. Robert Oppenheimer. I fucked that up.
Well done.
We are here to talk about J. Robert Oppenheimer, and I nailed it first take. TB&J!
I think it's funnier if you leave the first take in there also.
TB&J! Oh, if you thought I was going to edit it out, you're wrong.
All right, I'm just making sure. You hit the little I have a mark button, and I didn't know if that meant anything to you.
It meant I was thinking about it.
It's for the sake of the soundbite.
Yeah.
So you can hear it clackety-clack in the background. Like,
Right,
it was
right.
considered and then ignored.
Yeah, the sound is important for storytelling. I understand.
I'm
yeah.
glad you just handed the audience every piece of the joke so that they really understood it all. Guys, we are here to talk about the father of the atomic bomb, a.k.a. War Daddy, and that would be J. Robert Oppenheimer.
Is that-
I'm already uncomfortable with the use of the term war daddy.
I don't
feel
think
like
you got the right messages from this film.
No, I don't think so
Did
either.
I not? I thought I understood it pretty clearly.
Did you watch the correct movie?
Yeah, Johnny Sins was in it, right?
Halfway through the movie, he's like, "This wasn't Barbie."
Oh man, Barbie, another fantastic movie that's out right now. All right, cool. So, TB&J, the way we do things around here, everything gets a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We talk about it, and then it gets a letter grade. Why? Because we like keeping you on your toes. Troy, Oppenheimer, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, obviously. Baby, Red.
If you're doing it to keep you on the toes, wouldn't it be toes up or down? 2 toes up.
2 toes up.
2 toes up for sure.
Thumbs up from me as well. I'm just going to ignore that. So, I don't know if there was anybody that was shitting on this movie at all in the world.
There was some weird takes, but there was mostly no.
For the most part, they stay pretty damn accurate to Oppenheimer's real life and a lot of the real events that happened. There's a couple dramatic liberties taken here and there, but for the most part, it's pretty spot on, complete with the tragic ending of his career, and he basically just becomes like a nobody, and he gets shunned from his own field in the United States.
Real life.
I mean, spoilers for facts that happened fucking 80 years ago. Sure, why not?
That is the wild thing about like biopics, where
It's
like
called lore.
I'm sorry, about what?
isn't it biopics?
Biopic.
I keep saying biopic, and other people tell me I'm wrong, and
No.
then I swap back and forth. Somebody will inevitably tell me I'm wrong, and you'll hear me say the other one again.
It's biopic.
Okay,
Biopic sounds like a failed Bionicle ripoff.
that doesn't mean that this isn't a failed Bionicle ripoff.
I'm pretty sure it is. There's no Bionicles in this at all.
Are you sure about that?
And there was no soundtrack by the All-American Rejects.
You say there's not a Bionicle, but
Wait. Did you see a Bionicle in the movie?
Iron Man is in this.
That's a good bit you did there.
Are there
Robert
any-
Downey Jr. is in
this movie has 1,000 actors in it.
So-
are none of them in a Bionicle movie?
God, shut the fuck up.
Somebody voice acted something somewhere.
I don't think it was anybody in this movie. If I had to take if I was gonna put $100 on it, but I'm not.
I'd love to see Josh Peck in a Bionicle movie.
Yeah, you know what?
Dude,
Of all
same.
the actors in this
He's the
movie,
most likely.
he is probably the most likely because he's very tied to Nickelodeon for years. Anyway, but that you mentioned Josh Peck and you mentioned Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. There's a lot of other stars in this movie. Obviously, Cillian Murphy's face has been on everything for months and months. But there's a lot of big-name actors in this movie that I did not expect to see and that weren't really touted as being big-name actors. And then you just go to the movie and it's like, oh, shit, that's fucking Robert Downey Jr., and he ends up being, like, the bad guy. I mean, as much as anybody can be a bad guy in a World War II movie.
Everybody in this movie, to some extent, is a bad guy.
Yeah.
Pretty much except for his friend, the Jewish guy who gives him the orange slices. He's pretty much the only one who's not like.
Oh yeah, one of the
shitty.
other scientist guys. Yeah.
I forget his name.
I forget a lot of their names, to be honest. But
90% of the casting was just like younger, white, European-looking scientist, and like there were so many names that I feel like I should have walked out of knowing, and I was just like, okay, I know that guy by his face, I know that guy by his face, I know that guy by the accent.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The funny thing is, these are also people portraying the greatest scientists and inventors of the
20th century,
and you're like focusing on this guy, and you're like, okay, like this guy's like kind of like a side like character, like I'm probably not gonna remember his name, and then like people have looked it up, and it's like, yeah, that guy like invented like the microwave.
Yeah,
like that's like a guy in the movie.
A side character in this movie is Albert fucking Einstein.
Yeah.
Like,
but just some of the actors off the top of my head. You got Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt. You got Robert Downey Jr. You have Alden Ehrenreich, who I love to see. I'm a big Alden Ehrenreich fan. I was the only person who was very excited to see him as Solo. Before he was Solo. There was Josh Peck.
Don't forget, Rami Malek was in it.
Rami Malek is in it and doesn't have a speaking role
until the very end when he throws Robert Downey Jr. under the bus.
Yep.
Fucking Jack Quaid, Huey from The Boys. He's one of the scientists. Richard Feynman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fucking the general guy, Matt Damon.
And
Holy
maybe
shit.
maybe unironically, maybe one of the best, if not the best, Matt Damon role.
Absolutely. And then David Dastmalchian.
Okay.
I can't remember what role he played, but he was Polka Dot Man from the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
He was in this fucking
he's
movie.
He's like the typewriter guy.
I've got it in front of me. I'm cheating just a teensy weensy little bit. Fucking President Truman was Gary Oldman.
Yep.
Like Gary Oldman is one of those actors who just completely
in
disappears.
the most fucked up scene of the movie.
Oh yeah, the most fucked up scene where Oppenheimer is like,
maybe
I
second.
have blood
We'll
on
get
my
to
hands, and Truman's like, boo hoo.
We'll get to it. Maybe second.
You're a crybaby.
Who else was in this?
Kenneth Branagh. James Darcy.
Mm-hmm.
Casey Affleck.
Casey Affleck too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, his. Yeah, there's a billion people in this movie.
Yeah, there's so many fucking people. So many really good actors. Everybody really
basically everybody except for Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling.
Well,
yeah.
But like
they were busy at the time.
Everybody really disappeared into their roles in this movie. Like when I saw Robert Downey Jr. on screen, who was playing Louis Strauss, like I didn't
realize it was him right away.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't peg it as RDJ immediately until he started speaking, and then I recognized the voice. But even then, I was like, nah, I'm not seeing Iron Man right now. I'm not even seeing Robert Downey. I'm just seeing the character.
He actually.
The first few minutes he was on screen until he made like a particular facial expression that is very RDJ. I was like, I was gonna nudge you and double check and ask if that's who it was because I wasn't 100% sure that I was right.
It's really him.
Christopher Nolan is known for not really liking any effects and changes and stuff like that. Like he doesn't even really do a whole lot of like makeups and like famously doesn't even really like wigs. And Robert Downey Jr. is like the only person in like some makeup to make him look a little bit older. And he actually, if you look up pictures, he actually looks a lot like his dad in this.
Really?
He looks a lot like his dad, and he said that he said
Robert Downey Sr.
Yeah, and he said he's looked at he's looked at himself in like the mirror and stuff like that when he was in like the full makeup, and he's just like, wow, this is like what I'm gonna look like in like 10 years. Like he was like really like this is like he. Because, like, I forget when his dad died, but it was like his dad's been dead for a while, I think.
I mean, he's not a young man.
No.
Robert.
I feel like all of the age makeup in all of the scenes that it was in was really well done in this movie.
I mean,
July 7th,
really
2021.
2021. Okay, so it wasn't long ago, huh? Okay, so it's actually pretty recent.
Yeah, and it is pretty similar. I mean, Downey Sr. is a little bit of a heavier man, but the face is there. It does kind of look like what fucking Louis Strauss looked like in this movie. That's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. So Oppenheimer it follows his life pretty much from college until the atom bomb, and then it does like a big jump after that. But the movie is over 3 hours long, I think, and I felt like it needed to be a little bit longer, maybe.
So I feel this especially in the beginning. I have like 2 or 3 gripes. So first off
they
the bat,
really blast through like his whole education.
yes, the first like 20 minutes of the movie is very, very condensed of like 5 years of his life. But I'm okay. I am not a huge Chris Nolan person. I think I like him more than you do on average.
He did ruin my favorite superhero.
And I like two of those movies. I don't like the last one.
We're in the same boat there.
Yeah.
But I'm not the guy who's like, Nolan's a god, everything he touches is great. But like, he's done some great stuff.
I think I've been slightly more endeared to him recently. Because
he's not a film daddy.
He doesn't seem like he's like as pretentious and up his own ass as everybody thinks he is. And he still is to an extent. I think that's part of the reason people don't like him.
I mean, anybody that's in that line of work of being a film director in general, I think it has to be a little up their own ass.
Yeah, but he's
just for the sake of your job.
Yeah, but he's like kind of on a different level than a lot of people.
Is he on the level of James Cameron, who has to dive to the deepest part of the ocean?
No, and James Cameron's also said some things about indigenous people that aren't great. And to my knowledge, that
you don't say.
To my knowledge, Chris Nolan isn't as racist as James Cameron is.
Yeah, this isn't a Cameron movie.
Yeah, and it sucks because I love James Cameron and he does good movies.
It has the explosion level that a James Cameron movie does have,
oh, yeah.
though.
I mean,
will at least give it that.
It has an atom bomb.
It kind of has to, but
no,
I'm just saying.
He's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, like he has like the biggest pull of any director in all of Hollywood right now. He's like the one guy that was working with Warner Brothers and kind of walked in the room and was like, I'm doing this movie. And they were just sort of like, yes, sir, Mr. Nolan, sir. And then he did it. And then when all the HBO Max, or I'm sorry, Max stuff started happening, he basically turned around and was just like, HBO Max is the worst streaming service on the entire planet. And then just like fucking dipped. And then he's just like, I'm just making my own stuff now. I'm not working with this shit company. People were speculating that's even why he put it out at the same time as Barbie and didn't move, because he wanted to see if he could take stuff away from Warner Brothers. Didn't work. Barbie made $1 billion, but
Barbie made I think twice as much as Oppenheimer.
Well, it was
they
always
still both had amazing opening weekends.
It was
exactly.
It was the biggest.
So that's the thing I wanted to talk about as well.
Sure.
So ever since COVID, movie theaters have struggled to put butts in seats, especially with the new age of I'll just wait till it's on streaming in a month. You just delay it a month and there you go. You can watch it at home. You have some movies like Wonder Woman 84 that came out on streaming and the movie theater same day, but it was like a $20 charge for the streaming or something like that. I know Disney's done that for a couple movies.
Yeah, Black Widow completely missed theaters, I think.
It did, and ScarJo took Marvel to court about that because she was supposed to get a cut of the theater money, and that never happened. It was a whole big thing. But these movies are the first movies in a long time where, specifically Oppenheimer, this movie, I was excited. I was a giddy kid running into the theater with dragging my wife behind me to get into the theater. I was like, baby, we're going to be late. We got to hurry. And she's like, dude, it's ads anyway. And I was like, no. They might start it, but there might be less ads. We got to go. I've never been that excited to go to the movies in years. It's been fucking years since I've been that excited. And this movie made fucking gangbusters money. It's just insane levels of money for post-COVID movies. And even for pre-COVID movies. I think it's at like, 700 million? Mm-hmm. It's getting real goddamn close to $1 billion. And it's just this.
And Barbie did pass a bill in recently. The two of them combined, AMC reported that it was their highest grossing single weekend of all time in the entire company's history of like 100 years.
Yep. Oppenheimer had a domestic opening weekend of $82.5 million, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And then currently it's sitting at $234 domestic, which is just that's just fucking absolutely insane to me. That's not crazy levels of money on the very backtrack that a little bit. Because my first thought was like, well, didn't do Avatar levels of money. Well, sure, but Avatar's also like the number one movie ever.
Yeah, nothing will.
Yeah, nothing will ever do Avatar or Titanic again. But $234 million when your movie's been out for Came out July 21st.
Especially and Barbie, no matter what was going to happen, Barbie was always going to beat it because
It's
Barbie
got an R rating.
Barbie isn't R-rated. Barbie is
It's
more
also a brand.
It's more accessible. Barbie is also the highest amount reported of women who have left to go to the theaters for obvious reasons. The theater was filled.
So the marketers for Barbie did the best thing ever. They made going to the movies to see Barbie an event. Because kids these days, and I swear to God, I just aged myself 10 years saying that sentence, but kids these days, when you go somewhere, it's about doing the thing and taking pictures at the event and showing people you were there. When Barbie came out in some of the bigger theaters in America, they had a massive pink and plastic box that you could stand in and pose with toys and take photos of yourself. That's fucking genius. Those boxes are already selling for thousands on eBay because theater employees are just fucking copping them.
My entire theater was everybody was wearing pink, and
that's
including me and the two people I saw it with.
It became an absolute thing. It's like dress up in pink, go to the Barbie movie. It became an absolute thing and a brand almost in and of itself of just going to the movies to see this.
And I would say you would probably want to keep up this momentum if you're movie makers and want to see, the movies continue to do well. And you might want to, make a bunch of stuff with good writing and good acting. And maybe pay the people who would do those things.
I
and
see.
Continue the momentum and not fuck up the momentum of from Spider-Verse into two of the biggest movie releases of all time.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That seems like it won't.
It's
seems like that's
definitely
correct,
not going to happen.
But just saying.
Sure. It's definitely not going to happen as much as we want it to happen. Because the good guys don't always win. But no, also, Box Office Mojo, I just pulled it up. Worldwide, Oppenheimer's at almost $600 million. So, fucking phenomenal. But this movie really brought people back to the movie theaters. I feel like for the first time since COVID. And a lot of people have been saying, oh, this is the first go-see movie since COVID. Everybody's got to go. It's like, no, I never felt that. Even with fucking Spider-Verse, I felt like I could have just stayed home until it hit streaming. But I didn't.
I'm also a freak who goes to the movie theaters for everything.
That's the thing. We're freaks because we go to the movies all the time. Yeah. It's why we started a fucking podcast. But, like, there are a lot of movies I felt like I could have just watched at home. Yeah. This is definitely not one of them. And the first thing I think my wife said the next day after Oppenheimer was, "Can we go see it again?" Like
I'm still waiting for you to take me to see it. I will gladly see it again. I want to also mention that we made the extra point to see this movie in IMAX.
Yes.
And if you do not go to see it in IMAX, you are doing yourself a disservice.
Absolutely.
You truly are.
I really wanted to see it on the 70mm film IMAX, but the closest movie theater to me doing that is about an hour drive. And as much as I want to do that, that would be a 6-hour excursion between driving and the movie. And that's half of my day.
At that point, you might as well just get a motel room. Like, that's not...
Yeah, that's a vacation trip. That's not a...
It's more extra than I'm willing to be.
You buy the second ticket for Barbie, and then you just kind of spend the whole day up there.
Yeah, the fucking Barbenheimer double feature, which apparently was a huge success for AMC theaters.
I unfortunately didn't do it only because there's not enough time in the day. But
that's exactly what my thing was. There was not enough time in the day.
I saw Barbie opening day, and then I saw Oppenheimer a few days later.
There was a mom-and-pop cheesesteak shop in Philadelphia that was doing branded cheesesteaks for Barbie and Oppenheimer. The Barbie one had a pink dragon fruit sauce all over it. Apparently it was really good. I didn't have any. The Oppenheimer one said, quote, "We put a couple cigarettes out in it. Enjoy." And it's like, excuse me?
I still want to try it. I still want to eat it. I need to know. I gotta know. What did you do with it? I gotta know.
It's probably just like extra smoky flavor. I imagine you can't actually put a cigarette out in a cheesesteak, even in Philadelphia, because I imagine the health department would be up your ass.
Someone will buy it. It might be out of the back of the store, not the front of the store, but somebody somewhere, they'll do it.
Yeah. You have like one grizzled old woman sitting at the grill whose job is just keep smoking those Newports all day long and just putting them out in cheesesteaks for the customers.
Oh, you'd be surprised what people will buy from restaurants. It's like when I went to see my sister, she tried to call this Vietnamese place for like an hour, and I'm like, I don't think they're picking up. She's like, well, they might be closed, or they might have gotten arrested again. I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, yeah, they sell weed out of the back of the store. The cops know. I'm like, clearly, if they're not picking up, they got arrested. She's like, well, the food's good, so it shouldn't matter. Someone somewhere thinks that matters.
I mean, who knows, man? But this movie, because I'm a big World War. To get back on track with Oppenheimer, I'm a big World War II nerd. I've talked about in the past with friends and my wife. If we ever go to Europe, one of our stops has to be Germany, and I want to go all over like Berlin, and I want to go all over like all the World War II sites. I find that shit fascinating. It's just deeply fascinating to me on a spiritual level. The lengths humanity went to hurt, kill, and maim each other in the most heinous ways possible. And I love is not the right word. I really...
It's fascinating in a macabre fashion.
Exactly. I like learning about it. I like seeing it and seeing just exactly how terrible humanity was. Part of me gets a little hopeful at that. I'm like, well, we're better than that, right? And then I look around the world sometimes, and I'm like, maybe not. But I do have a fascination for all of World War II history. One of the first movies I ever pirated when I was a child was Saving Private Ryan.
Well, you've never pirated a movie. You've never pirated a movie.
I wouldn't
because,
download a car.
Yeah, that'd be fucked up, and it isn't a victimless crime.
Yeah, not a victimless crime. No, the MPAA would be all over that.
Yep. You went to the movie theaters with your own money at the age of what, like 9, and went to go. No, earlier than that, probably.
I think it was 10.
When Private Ryan?
Private Ryan was 01, I think.
Then we would have been 6.
Because that movie was on VHS tape in my dad's cabinet.
Yeah,
but the VCR was broken.
We would have been 6 years old.
I wasn't 6 watching it. I got
okay,
older.
Sure.
I watched it as a.
No, I'm saying when you
preteen.
went to the movie theater with your own money to buy.
Now I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have let me in to see Saving Private Ryan. There's a scene where a guy picks up his own arm off the beach and walks away with it.
You looked old for your age.
You know what? 6 years old, I think I was starting to go gray.
You probably had gray hair.
Yeah,
6 years.
yeah. My first memory of gray hair is 8 years old, but there was probably a couple stragglers.
That was a joke. I was joking.
No, we've been friends for a very long time.
This dude has gray hair at 6 years old. He's standing at the counter like, I have a hormonal condition. Let me in. Do you have ID? No, we shouldn't need it.
They didn't give me this much trouble when I served my country in Nam.
Jesus Christ.
Let me into the goddamn movies.
Oh my God, we're so off track. Anyway.
Welcome to the podcast, baby. How you doing?
Holy hell.
Baby, you haven't spoken in a while. Typical of our marriage.
I don't get much opportunity these days.
Did you enjoy the movie? Did you enjoy seeing Cillian Murphy get fucked by Florence Pugh?
I did. And not... Okay, so I think the casting overall in this movie, there was a lot of people I was surprised to see walk on screen, but overall I was not unhappy with any casting decision they made, really anywhere. I thought everyone played an excellent role for what they had. And like you said, there were a lot of characters that melted into their role so much that the first few minutes they were on screen, I was like, I don't know if that's who I think it is or not. And like I had to like kind of confirm to myself over time. I think Cillian Murphy just killed it. I mean, I am such a Cillian Murphy fan to start with.
You fell in love with Cillian Murphy watching Peaky Blinders on our couch.
I really did. I would leave you for Cillian Murphy in a heartbeat.
I would blame you if you didn't.
The lengths he went to for this movie amaze me. I mean, physically, just the sheer amount of weight that he lost to get that really haunted, like, gaunt expression, first of all, was very historically accurate.
Yeah, if you ever see pictures of the actual J. Robert Oppenheimer during the Manhattan Project, he wasn't eating, he wasn't sleeping. Man was stressed and high-strung every day of his life.
Martinis and, like, 100+ cigarettes a day, and maybe, like, sugared toast was pretty much his diet. Like, Cillian Murphy looked the part.
So he was just a ghoul in a suit every single day of the Manhattan Project, and Cillian Murphy nailed that look. And props to him for not disclosing how he did that, because it's probably unhealthy. It's probably like fucking...
No, in interviews, he was very adamant about it. He would always redirect it, because they would ask, like, oh, what did you do? Like, how much weight did you let? He refuses to put a number to it. He's like,
Good.
I don't want the focus of all of this effort and all of this amazing work by all of these people come down to, oh wow, Cillian Murphy lost X amount of pounds to play this role and play this role well. He's like, I don't want that. I don't want to give that energy.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have a number. Like if he just never stepped on a scale.
Oh, I know he stepped on a scale because he even mentioned he's like there part of the reason I don't want to talk about it is because like I got to a point where I was very competitive with myself about like how little I could eat to get to where I wanted to get to, which is unhealthy in its own right. But the end result was regardless amazing. Like he played the part excellently. Florence Pugh I was surprised she had such a small role, but she did it so wonderfully. I was super psyched to see the both of them naked. Although Cillian Murphy lost so much weight that it was uncomfortable.
Little bit. It was like looking at a human skeleton.
It really was.
The one thing I will say is that this movie is a testament to how good Florence Pugh and Emily Blunt are, because I think one of my only negative, and I don't think it's a nitpick, I think it's an actual pick, and this has been popular criticism through like every Christopher Nolan movie. I don't think he's necessarily beating the Christopher Nolan can't write women allegations that much.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much just Florence Pugh's character is a communist and is naked half the time, and Emily Blunt is his alcoholic wife who has a drink in her hand every scene, and she has 2 or 3.
But she stands by her husband.
She has 2 or 3 really, really good scenes, and I think a lot of these scenes are more Emily Blunt than they are Christopher Nolan.
Emily Blunt is so fucking talented.
Incredible. Yeah.
The first movie I really watched her in was fucking Quiet Place.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fucking insane how good a movie can be with no dialogue. So fucking good.
Yeah, there's a few good ones. She gets kind of thrown to the wayside in a movie in Sicario, but I would recommend that anyway. She's in a lot of stuff.
Oh, you know what you just reminded me of? That it was a point you made to me, actually, leaving the movie theater, baby. But Florence Pugh in this movie, when she's naked, she looks like a normal fucking woman.
Oh, yes. I'm glad you brought that up because, I mean, I don't know how many listeners you have, let alone female listeners at this point, but
at least 2.
I am 5'4", and I am average size. I'm an average size American woman. So for me to continually go to the cinema and see all of these like 6 foot tall Adonis looking women, like take Zendaya for example. Zendaya is not,
or Gal Gadot was my first thought.
Yeah, they're not great examples of like the average modern
even
woman.
fucking Margot Robbie.
Yeah. So it was really exciting to me to see a woman that was a little bit on the curvier side. Not fat. A lot of people are body shaming her actually for her
which
nude
is
scenes
fucking
and things.
ridiculous.
It
Absurd.
is. It's ridiculous. But that's the point I'm making. They're used to seeing these women that are like so incredibly tall and athletic and very slimly built. It was very refreshing to me as a woman to see a woman that was my size and my shape and my height being portrayed in that manner and looking gorgeous doing it. That was very like exciting for me to see.
Absolutely. I love when I see normal ass people.
Florence Pugh is still quite a stretch from a normal person.
No.
Yeah, but you're still correct. Yeah.
Yes, normal isn't exactly the right word when dealing with anyone who's a celebrity. But,
I'm also biased. I have a big Florence Pugh crush.
Yeah, I do too. Ever since she fucking stole my heart in Hawkeye and the Black Widow movie, I was like, yep, you win. You're the best. With that fake Russian accent, she's fucking incredible. And then Don't Worry, Darling, she was easily the best part of that movie. There weren't a whole lot of good parts of that movie.
It's not the best movie, but she's good.
She was really good in it.
Yep.
Shame she didn't do any press for it because the whole thing was toxic.
Oh, we might as well call it Worry, Darling, because it wasn't great. You hit the wrong one. That was supposed to be the applause button.
I think he had the right.
No, it's like 2 up. I don't know how you missed it.
I'm sorry. You're right. 2 up.
I forgot that was on there.
So do
Caught me by surprise.
I forget they're on there all the time until I look
at
at them.
them.
I forget they're there, and then I remember, they're fucking labeled. It says what's what.
We
we
go like 4 episodes in a row without using soundboards, and then we remember it's there.
I don't think we've even charged the iPad in like months.
No, it's just in front of me right now.
Yeah, that was a great waste of my money.
That's just a normal notepad. Never mind.
Yeah. No, Troy, what's your favorite part of the movie?
what's my favorite part of the movie? I liked
Is it when he said I am death and he deathed all over the place? And then he said it's death in time?
When I liked it more when he said it's Oppenheimer. And
it's Oppenheimer, and he upped all over the place.
No, but I think probably...
It's a Morbius joke. I saw you make a face. I'm sorry.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Right.
The face is being made at you.
Okay. I see.
No, but I would say
I should have known better.
I really like specifically the Casey Affleck scenes, or scene rather.
Casey Affleck is so fucking good.
Where it's when he's talking with Matt Damon and he's sitting there and he's just like, yeah, so like a general took me aside and like asked me a few questions and I, answered honestly. And Matt Damon's like, how honestly? Who was this? And he's like, oh, it's this, I forget the guy's name, but he's like, oh, it's
Pash.
Oh yeah, Pash.
Colonel Pash.
Colonel Pash. And he's like, you talked to that fucking guy? And he's like, and it keeps cutting back to Casey Affleck, who's just sort of like, oh, okay, yeah. So you have like communist ties and like and you're building this bomb and you have some of these other people here in this lab, and then it keeps cutting back to Matt Damon, and it's just like this guy like fucking kills like babies in his sleep that he like thinks might be communist, and it's like he's like the most fucked up guy in the world, and it keeps cutting back to like this well mannered like, and it's like it doesn't start off that fucked up. But the more he talks about him, the more, like, chilling it gets. And it's just Casey Affleck talking like a normal guy. But he has, like, this undertone of just, like, yeah, I'll fucking strangle you. I'll fucking reach over this chair and fucking strangle you to death.
Yep.
And it's like, what? And I've never been so intimidated by just, like, a guy talking normally and, like, saying nothing to questions.
Yeah, it was so fucking like, ugh. My fucking balls puckered. I was like, oh, this is weird. This is a bad.
And it's also an extra add layer of Matt Damon saying it about Casey Affleck, because Matt Damon famously best friends of Ben Affleck. So I just liked also.
Oh, Casey Affleck, is he related to Ben Affleck?
I think that they might be.
Is it not just a common last name?
I think it's not. I don't know many Afflecks.
Oh, interesting.
It's really them and the duck.
Huh. Okay. Wait. Affleck?
That wasn't even good. I hate you, Troy.
That was fucking
disappointing.
I don't know. I got laughs out of it. I'll take it.
You're a terrible person. I just want you to know that.
The laugh was delivered ironically. Moving on.
No, but so this might be unironically, because I am not a huge Interstellar fan. I'm not a huge Inception fan.
With you so far. Tenet?
I think I liked it enough. I don't know if I loved it. I think this might be my favorite Nolan movie, thinking back on it.
Oh, it's absolutely mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a diehard Batman fan. I think Dark Knight is amazing. This is a better Nolan film.
Sure. I'm trying to think about, like, I like Dark Knight, but Dark Knight, again, is like, it's a different
Wasn't
thing.
Inception Nolan?
Inception's Nolan, but I don't really like, I never really liked Inception.
Ooh, I will fist fight you later. We'll come back to that. Inception is my favorite movie of all time.
I've
already married her, Troy. I can't get rid of her now.
Well, he has to support me. He has to support me. You have to support me, baby.
Yep, sure do.
This is your war now.
Inception
Congratulations.
is a good movie.
I read as handing Jeff a gun,
which also had Cillian Murphy.
In Inception?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back on it. Yeah.
Actually, you'll notice Christopher Nolan and Cillian Murphy has been quite the duo over the last 10 years.
Cillian Murphy's also in
I feel like
Dark
every
Knight.
other Nolan movie of note, Cillian Murphy has a role somewhere in there.
Yeah.
He gets a new script going, and he's like, I know just the man.
He's got a few guys. He's got a few guys that he calls up a lot.
He's got his boys.
Yeah, a lot of real big actors have their guys.
I mean, a lot of directors just have like their guys. Yeah. Like fucking look at Spike Lee and Sam Jackson.
One of the most famous of all time is
I keep saying Spike Lee, and I mean to say Quentin Tarantino.
Wow, two extremely different men.
Extremely different. It's so vastly different.
They're both filmmakers.
In my head, I was like,
it.
Hateful Eight. Who directed that? Spike Lee. Let me just grab that name out of my brain.
Not even close.
Holy shit, I'm fucking stupid. Yeah, no.
I was gonna say, famously, Quentin Tarantino has like every movie is basically the same, like 9 guys.
Yes.
Walton Goggins. You got some Travoltas in there. You have Samuel L. Jackson. Basically, every single one of them. He has a plethora of guys.
Yeah, he's got guys. He does his thing.
The only
with his
guy
guys.
the only guy with more guys is like Adam Sandler, and I don't think that's the same.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's exactly the same. But no, I have very, very few gripes at all with this fucking movie.
Yeah, I think
so
my
fucking good.
I think my only 2 are, like I said, Chris Nolan, still not very good at writing women.
Yeah, the women are kind of 2-dimensional. They don't really change.
So I have a bit of a note on this, and I feel like it's kind of important to note.
Please, as a woman.
I thought it down for a second. As a straight white man. So I think a large part of the thing that we might miss a little bit in scenes here and there is, I'm not discounting what you're saying. Christopher Nolan does have weak women sometimes,
Sure.
as far as writing goes, but this is most definitely written from Oppenheimer's perspective.
Sure.
And they are actually really clever, I thought, with how they do certain things. Like, there's entire scenes that are filmed in black and white for the sake of differentiating that point of view from the general point of view we are going forward with most of the movie, which I loved. But I think a lot of the things that we're seeing is, like, these were key moments in Oppenheimer's story going through the movie. So there's a lot of character development that we may be missing. There's a lot of how things are skewed according to his particular perspective in that moment in time. And I think it's kind of like a Catcher in the Rye effect, where there's a certain, how much can we have faith in the narrator here, even though it's not like words of a narrator, but it's through the point of view of the narrator.
Well, they almost have sort of a plot twist of the movie's framed in very much like a Oppenheimer is the view that you get when the movie is in color, and then you switch to black and white, and it's supposed to sort of be more of like an objective point of view. And then at the end, it's almost a plot twist where it's like, actually, it's a little bit more Strauss's point of view that you've been watching the whole time. And
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
They're both kind of unreliable narrators.
Strauss.
But I like
Is it
that,
Strauss? Not?
Yeah, because he
He actually
Oppenheimer's
explicitly
like
mentions it.
Strauss, and he's like, it's Strauss, actually.
Mhm.
I really liked that they did that, though. Like, that everything was so very clearly from Oppenheimer's perspective when it was, so that when it wasn't, it was very, like, jarring. Good example, the office scene. Like, the office scene. That was so out of left field when it happened, but it's that moment from his wife's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his wife was hearing him testify about his affair with Jean, and in her mind, all she could see was Jean fucking him.
I heard some people say that scene was, like, goofy, and, like, that they laughed at it in the theaters, and I was like, I thought it was pretty good.
It was so starkly uncomfortable and out of left field. It's just, like, one of the, like, the very first thing that came to mind, I was like, that must have been so painfully awkward to film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was that was a fucking scene to film, I bet.
But for what it was meant to do at the time, be incredibly jarring and be like, holy Jesus, like, it delivered.
Another point is that this is not uncommon. The score is incredibly good in this movie. Oh
my God, yes.
And a thing to note is this is one of the few Christopher Nolan movies that isn't Hans Zimmer. This is Ludwig Göransson or something.
Göransson, something. It's a Swedish name.
Yeah, he is one of the best composers in Hollywood right now. He did Black Panther. He did Mandalorian. He did what was another one? I used to know like all of them.
I believe in you. Come on.
What was another one?
Creed.
Creed is another one. Sure.
He did do Creed. He did Tenet.
Okay, so he did. Okay, so
he
did
worked
do
on
another
the
Nolan
2020 hit film Trolls World Tour.
Okay.
He worked on Book of Boba Fett.
Yep. Yeah, he does basically all the Star Wars shows.
He did the Pixar film Turning Red.
Okay.
Wakanda Forever. He co-wrote Lift Me Up, which was performed by Rihanna for Wakanda Forever. There you go. That's his career.
Yeah. I mostly know him for Black Panther and Star Wars.
Also Venom. That wasn't in his Wikipedia page.
Well,
But it's in his IMDb.
Well, I unfortunately the only song I remember is Eminem's Banger. But so I was saying before that like I've been kind of slightly more endeared to Christopher Nolan recently, because basically everybody who has reported working with him, and the fact that he has like an independent studio that's like not overseen by anybody anymore.
Yeah, yep.
And he's never really been overseen by anybody anyway. He apparently basically everybody who's ever worked with him says that he like basically has almost a no yelling policy. Like he doesn't yell at anybody. He's apparently one of the nicest guys in the world, and apparently like everybody thinks he's sort of like this very cryptid like people like spread rumors about how like maybe he doesn't own like a smartphone, and like he like lives off the grid, and he comes out every few years to make a movie.
That's funny.
And apparently people are like, no, he's like a normal like fun guy. Apparently he did like an interview recently, and or he's done interviews during the lead up to this movie, and he said his favorite movie of all time is like Talladega Nights, and apparently he's just like one of these guys who he's not like a huge movie snob.
He's just a dude.
He's just a guy who sees like every movie. Like you have an equal chance of seeing him walking out of Asteroid City to like the Paw Patrol movie. And
yeah, he's a dude. He's got kids. Like he's just a dude.
Yeah, so that kind of wrapped me back around of just being like, okay, so he's not all the way up his own ass. So I kind of like that about him, and I like this movie a lot. So I've been on sort of a Christopher Nolan defense train recently.
Yeah. I mean, he's just a dude. Most people are just dudes deep down. Everybody likes
guys.
Yeah, they're just dudes being guys. They just do, whatever fucking stuff.
Now, here's the other thing about this movie, and it is intentional. Did you walk out of this movie just like, at least like the middle half of this movie, just like very angry at the idea of everybody who existed in this movie?
When I left the movie theater, I was honestly in a state of existential dread.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not joking.
Mm-hmm.
This is completely serious. I wanted to cry as soon as the movie was over. And my wife suggested we walk through Barnes & Noble, do something fun and spirited afterwards. And all I could talk about was how upset I was at the impending idea of nuclear annihilation, and how one day we may all actually die, especially because the people holding the keys are fucking incompetent.
I mean, with how they ended it and showing everything like more towards the present moment, like ending scene just gorgeous. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, all the missiles, clouds, missile streaks of smoke just going up through the cloud and shit, and all, like the fire.
And the I Believe We Have, like that was the strongest ending of any movie I can ever recall thinking. Like, that's the strongest ending of anything I recall seeing ever.
Not to mention, I'm currently playing Fallout 4 again, so as soon as we're done Oppenheimer, I go home to play Xbox, and it's like, oh, here's this dystopian world that was destroyed by the atomic bombs.
Don't worry, here's some jazzy 50s music.
Exactly. And don't worry, they go kill some Deathclaws and collect bottle caps. It's all fun and games now.
You know what? There is one other scene that I definitely wanted us to discuss before the end of this.
Because we're gonna wrap up in a second.
Yeah, after they drop the bomb, and Oppenheimer's doing the speech, just the entire scene of him, switching between the present moment and like trying to act happy, and like the obvious, existential dread, if you will, like the grief of what he's done, like going through it.
He understands the gravity of what he just did,
and no one else does. And like the flashes between like people like being happy and like hysterically crying, like. So artfully done, in my opinion. And
the woman's face, who was getting blown off in tatters,
and like
during
stepping
the
into the charred body. That's one other thing I did see online. There was some criticism about how they didn't go into enough. They didn't devote enough attention to like the actual physical trauma that they put towards Japan and its citizens.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that it was really well done the way that it was. Number one, because again, like we've already said, this was supposed to be from this man's perspective. So he
didn't see any of that.
He didn't see any of that. So we're not dealing with the physical damage that it caused. we're dealing with the grief, and that is like the grief of the situation. Like you feel it as a viewer, it comes through and what's going on. The other thing is, I don't like how in a lot of war movies, a lot of those opportunities turn into like a trauma porn, war porn type
100%.
situation where it's like that's one of the things I was concerned about walking in the theater. I don't feel like it's respectful to them to go to that length to show things like that. Like you are delivering the message without having the gore involved, and I feel like that's a much more tasteful way to deliver your message.
I was ready to jump in talking about all that exact same stuff because I think that it was wild because like you were talking about how Jeff, you were talking about how there wasn't a whole lot of people like shitting on this movie, but there was like a small like contingency of people online who were saying like there were two points that I do not understand. There was one of like, how come we didn't see like the Japanese perspective, as Red was saying, and that blew my mind because it's like, well, yeah, one it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you do put it in there, then people are like, this seems very exploitative, and also we know the Japanese perspective of the atomic bomb. They didn't like it. It ended their entire way of life, and
it's like if you need more viewing research on that topic, go watch Grave of the Fireflies.
There are 100 other movies that show it. You can find them. The other criticism I saw was people being like, should we really be making a movie glorifying this guy? And I'm like, did you watch this thing? He's not
glorified, and that's what I love. He was a very morally gray character. And I love that. Like, he cheated on his wife. He made a science which the academics of it is beautiful. However, the implications of it are devastating.
And it's not even necessarily morally gray as like a full movie either. Because like I feel like Chris Nolan at the end is sort of like, and here's my stance on it, and I think it's pretty bad. Like the only way you could get more pretty in your face about it, of like how Christopher Nolan at least feels about it, is if there was a chyron going across the bottom of the screen being like, I think the atomic bomb was pretty bad and it may have opened up Pandora's box. And then somebody in the theater been like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Oh, man.
Those takes are blowing my mind a little bit online, especially after I saw it.
Yeah, it's man, it's fucking.
So,
sorry, I was also reading to bolster the point I was going to make. What were you saying?
I was going to say. Actually, you make your point first. Mine's better as an ender.
Okay, so one of the things I really enjoyed was because, as I've stated many, many times now, I'm a big fan of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
I did actually follow.
You think it was great? You think it was cool?
Absolutely. Let's go for the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I read a shitload about Oppenheimer when I was like 13, 14, so I did know a lot of his life. I knew especially about Jean Tatlock, his lover, Florence Pugh's character.
Sure.
So. She allegedly did commit suicide, the way that it's shown in the movie.
I was going to bring this up and I forgot about it.
But in the movie, you see a gloved hand force her head into the water and leave like a fake suicide note. Now, in real life, her brother swore up and down the government killed her. There's no fucking way Jean killed herself. And the suicide note was speculated to be fake. Her brother didn't buy it. Her dad, who found her body, was like, it wasn't signed. It feels like it's a little out of character for her, but, like, who knows? She was clinically depressed and being treated for it at Mount Zion Hospital. But maybe she killed herself. Because, I mean, if you're going to kill yourself, I guess you just get onto a bunch of cushions in your bathroom and shove your head in the tub, and none of your survival instincts kicked in to get you out of that.
Well, they did mention that she had taken pills before that.
But they weren't in her bloodstream. They were only in her stomach.
Okay. But again, this is one of those where, because it's from Oppenheimer's perspective, I really like the way that they chose to do this scene, because
they allowed us to see that it may have been a conspiracy without actually saying, I'm sorry.
That's basically what I was going to say. Because you have, the gloved hand was only there for like less than a second. There were actually some people that walked out of the theater because we heard them, I don't know if you did, but I heard some people discussing on the way out, oh, did you see the glove? Like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it was so quick, some people missed it entirely because it was in the corner of the screen. So the fact that they had it so, maybe, like, of course, Oppenheimer in the situation that he's in and in the sheer panic of that moment was like, they killed her because of me. So, like, of course he's going to imagine that whether it was real or not.
And when he went to see her, he was being followed, and the FBI did have her phone tapped. J. Edgar Hoover had all that shit fucking tapped in real life. I don't know if they mentioned that in the movie or not, but, like, the government absolutely could have easily had her killed. And then fucking when they investigated themselves in 1944, they were like, nah, we didn't do it. Okay, sure.
You gotta love internal investigations.
Yeah. The
only other two scenes that I want to bring up are the two I was talking about being the most haunting of the movie. Oh, also, before that even, the scene where he is giving the speech and you see the woman's face getting basically peeling off. Are you aware that is Christopher Nolan's real life daughter?
No, that's neat.
That puts a very harsher spin on the final message of the movie. That's wild.
And he's even said apparently of I knew that if I just put like somebody else in that role, I would film this differently. So it is important that I put somebody there that is important to me to really pull in like the gravity of this scene and how I film it, which really makes that scene like crazy.
Holy shit.
Makes it nuts.
That is a lot.
There was that. There's we were talking about the scene where the president basically waves a handkerchief in his face after he basically is like, I'm feeling really bad about how I kind of just maybe killed over 70,000 people. I feel like I really got some blood on my hands, and I feel really bad and having like an anxiety attack. Apparently that entire scene is like from the presidential records all the way down to the don't let that crybaby back in.
Yep, that's all real.
Because
everything that happened in the Oval Office is record.
And then probably the most haunting scene in the entire movie for me is the scene where they're picking the spots to actually drop the bombs, and they're just talking about it like so calculated and candidly, and like and they talk about what was the one that they say?
I don't want to drop it here. I've excluded this one because we've honeymooned here and I like the city
for the cultural significance. And
we honeymoon.
Yeah, and we honeymoon there.
I mean, but that also shows just the sheer level of bullshittery corruption, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire American government and military.
Yeah, that's
fine because that has relevance to me.
Yeah, there comes a point in war where you no longer view the other side as human. There has to
it was
be.
Kyoto.
Somewhere down the line, you stop seeing the person in front of you as a person.
My grandfather fought in Vietnam, and I believe, if my memory serves, a story my dad told me that grandfather told him when he was little was that the military taught you back then to not view them as people because you can't. Because the second you do, then in your head, you're just a murderer. And you cannot live with yourself like that. So you have to view them as not human. You have to do anything to separate yourself and who you are from who they are.
See, that's the callousness of this, though, right? To go back to this line. This seemingly throwaway line on this dude's part.
It was Kyoto, by the way. I think
Kyoto. Yeah. Beautiful city.
These people aren't on the frontline soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
They're moving chess pieces on a board. Not this one. I honeymoon there. Like it's a lunchtime conversation.
The only real soldier in the entire movie that we see a lot is Matt Damon, who also never is on the front line of anything. We never see anybody doing it.
No, but General Leslie Graves, he was a World War I veteran.
Yeah, sure.
He definitely saw shit.
I was talking about how this might be one of the best Matt
Groves,
Damon.
excuse me, not Graves.
Yeah, one of the best Matt Damon performances. I do like this sort of like macho, almost toxically masculine kind of guy who's just sort of like, yeah, I don't care about this science, and I'm just want results. I'm a military guy. And Oppenheimer just turns around and he's just like, bullshit. You went to like this Ivy League school and like you do know science. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then like he lights up and he's just like, okay, yeah, I do know like science stuff. And then the whole movie it seems more and more like you're like, hey, actually Groves is kind of like his
Kind
friend,
of intelligent.
and like he's intelligent, and it seems like he's starting to like Oppenheimer and their friends and everything like that. And then the thing is done, and they cart away the 2 bombs, and you see the 2 of them, and they're being real friendly and stuff like that. And you're like, yeah, Groves is a good guy, and he's my friend. And he turns around and he's just like, all right, the military will call you. See you. And he just like leaves, and you're just like, oh, that guy sucks. You're like,
He's just doing his job.
Oh, I
That's
see.
called a trauma bond.
Yeah.
He was a general of the Army doing his job. Also, I misspoke. I don't want anybody to be misled. He graduated West Point right as World War I was ending. I got confused.
Which is still rather prestigious.
No, yeah, he went to West Point, but he graduated in 1918, right after World War I ended. So he didn't actually serve on the front lines in World War I. However, his father did. Not to say that, he's... I gave him more credit than is necessarily due. Granted, he's still a fucking general of the Army who graduated West Point fucking top of his class. All right, he's still a great guy.
Well, he's not a great guy.
He's a great
did
soldier.
great.
He's a great soldier. I don't know if he's a great
for
guy.
himself.
He did good for our country. He helped with the atom bomb thing. I don't know if you remember that part of the movie.
Oh shit, that's what this was?
Yeah, this is about the atom bomb, man.
And then obviously we should talk about the atom bomb scene itself.
And the silence.
Dude, fucking...
So I really liked how they balance. Actually, this whole movie is like this. It's such a beautiful balance to me between the gravity and how terrible, like, what is going on and what they are trying to achieve versus, from the scientific perspective, like the sheer joy and excitement of like scientific discovery. And I feel like that scene did it so well because a lot of directors would just go boom. And the fact that they chose to go through the reactions and like the, oh my God, we did it, like to, an explosion's not beautiful, but like when you've worked, and this is like the culmination of your hard work, like for an instant to someone it was. So I really like that they took the time to show it in that light before they showed the devastation of it.
It's absolutely incredible. And that blast, that footage exists. You can find it on Wikipedia if you look up the Trinity nuclear test. Oppenheimer. Nolan did his very best to recreate it as accurately as he could with the technology he had. And to see it in IMAX was truly breathtaking. Like, I was absolutely stunned. I have severe unmedicated ADHD. To make me stop and focus on something for more than a second is a fucking achievement. Ask my wife. And to see that explosion,
Ask his co-host.
Ask my co-host. I was completely just breathless and just fixated on the explosion. It was fucking chilling watching it happen, man.
Would you have ever thought, as a young child watching Nickelodeon, that one day, Josh
Peck will be helping with an atom bomb?
See, it's spherical!
presses the red button to drop the bomb.
He does. Josh Peck gets the honor. To think that chubby boy 10 years ago was telling me about Game Sphere, and now he's telling me about atomic bomb sphere.
Mm-hmm. And then
it was more than 10 years ago. It was like 15 years ago.
The radiation shield doesn't work, and he gets chemical burns all his body, and he just goes, Megan.
You know what, Troy?
They cut that out of the movie, though.
I'll give you the rim shot.
Yeah, they cut that out of the movie, though.
Did they?
Yeah, it wasn't in the movie. You didn't see it, so still it's a deleted scene.
Shucks. No, but it was absolutely incredible watching the explosion happen, and just it happens so silently because real life light travels faster than sound, so you'll see it before you hear it, especially if you're at a safe distance away. And I love how he's like, everybody lay on the mattresses and do not turn around until you see the light on this side of the mountain. And nobody followed that order. Everybody just turned around. I don't know the historical accuracy of this, but I bet a lot of those people had weird underlying health problems later in life.
I wouldn't count it out.
I mean, you did just set off a nuclear bomb in the middle of Mexico. New Mexico, excuse me.
New Mexico, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's not a great idea. Unless there was no nuclear bits in it and it was just a test of the actual bomb. No, there was definitely nuclear bits in there.
Well, and I'm going to say the things that will make Jeff want to push
Is
this.
nuclear bits how science works?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I don't.
You're allowed to call him out on that. You're probably.
I think you're full of shit. I don't understand, but I understand to know that you don't understand.
I'm gonna start saying the things that will push you to ask for a letter grade. Did you hear that Ben Shapiro's take on the movie is that communism's bad, and that was the reason Oppenheimer wasn't a great guy? Is that he was friends with card-carrying communists?
You know,
Not the atomic bomb part.
a lot of the people in the world that provide the most for the people that come after them are scientists and writers and creatives. A lot of those people tend to be communist, or at the very least, very liberal.
Well, Ben Shapiro
I wonder
historically
why.
a failed writer, so what's that tell you?
No, I was just making a completely unrelated point to any of that. He said, dripping with sarcasm.
Well, also his movie Terror on the Prairie
Starring Gina Carano, right?
It did really well. It made about $800.
I really thought you were going to just say $8.
It was almost, dude. I think it was $802.
That reminds me of
they sold I think 14 tickets or something like that.
When FIFA was in the middle of their really big corruption scandal, they made a movie about how great they are, and they released it internationally. Internationally, it made less than $1,000 because everyone was like, "Fuck FIFA." It reminds me of that. But yeah, letter grade time, I guess, for Oppenheimer. Yeah. Alrighty. So, I'm going to say it's an A.
It's an
for
A.
Adam Bomb.
I have some issues. They aren't huge. Like I said, I think that they're not huge, but they're not nitpicks either. The first is very, very quick. I think that red is valid with it is not from their perspective, but I still think the women writing is a little weak, and that's just a Christopher Nolan thing. I thought the sound editing is very good, which is a Nolan curse. I think that it didn't affect me at all. I heard everybody pretty crystal clear in this one. I'm going to say, do I want to give it an A+, even though I'm going to give it an A2. I'm going to go A2. And then I'll let you do first, because I have another thing to say.
I will also say A+. I don't know if there was a single part of this movie that I was not okay with.
You're very hard to please, too. So that's.
I am.
I meant in movies.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not. He'll tell you, I'm not a huge movie person. Like, he might go to the movies 2,000 times a year. I might go 3.
I go a lot more than 2,000 times a year. But yes, I understand the point.
Here's a question. Do you think this will win your Best Picture?
It's a great question. It's a toss-up between this and Meg 2.
I mean, Statham's money. Statham's always money is the thing.
That's what they call him in Hollywood. They call him Money Statham.
Yeah, they call him Jason Money Statham, yeah. It's a known fact. And it's going to be pretty tough. He's also in Fast X.
My very first Jason Statham movie I ever watched, I don't remember what it was. But my dad was watching it on cable when I was a kid. And I remember he was about to get into a big fight. And he was like, "Stop!" And he takes off his suit jacket and carefully starts folding it. And he was like, "I just got this back from the cleaners." And then he puts it on the hood of his car. And then he starts fighting. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world when I was 4, 5,
That might be a
6.
transporter scene or something.
It sounds like that, but I was 6, maybe 8, whatever, somewhere less than 10. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, "That's fucking cool. That's so cool."
It's like, call an ambulance, but not for me.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of level of writing, and I thought it was so cool as a kid. And then I grew up, and I was like, "Wow, it's kind of really cheesy and stupid."
Well, that's Statham. What do you?
Exactly. That's Money Statham.
Yeah.
Money.
Jason Money Statham.
Jason Money Statham.
Yeah.
JMS for short.
Who is in both Fast X and Meg 2, which makes him probably now the richest man in Hollywood, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, those
he's
are
up there.
Probably now dies a hero.
Definitely gets a statue.
Yeah. I think there are movies I like more of than this. I think I like Spider-Verse and I like Asteroid City so far more. I
like Toy Story more than this. Are we comparing?
No, I'm just saying this year.
Oh, I see.
I might even Barbie's pretty. I liked both Barbie and Oppenheimer a lot.
Spider-Verse would be a different category.
Sure.
I'm just saying if you're going for awards.
Well, no. Animated can win Best Picture, just won't.
It never will.
It specifically was given that category, so they don't want to do it anymore. But it technically, air quotes, can win that category, just like how
it's not allowed to, but it's never going to.
Yeah. And they're not going to give it to a Spider-Man movie in general, probably.
I think it's. I don't think it would be Barbie.
It won't be Barbie. Barbie will win Best Set Design, Best Editing, Best Set Design, yeah, probably
soundtrack maybe.
They
released the soundtrack before the movie came out on a fucking limited edition pink vinyl disc. It looks fucking awesome.
It might get Best Supporting Actor. Ryan Gosling is great in it.
Is he supporting actor or just best actor?
Well, he's not the main, so he would count as supporting.
He's second billing.
Yeah, but that's wouldn't be. He. I think he would count as supporting in that role.
I beg to differ, but I also don't know enough to completely correct you. But either way, doesn't matter.
But I think he has a shot to win that.
He might, but I think Asteroid City's going to get a lot of nods. I don't know if it's going to get a lot of wins. Oppenheimer's definitely going to get wins.
I think Oppenheimer has a shot of winning Best.
It has a shot at winning Best Picture because it's the first one first one in very recent history to swing the 70mm IMAX dick around and actually pull it off. I don't know if you knew this, Red, but the 70mm IMAX was supposed to be a super limited run. It got extended by popular demand. They keep selling those theaters out. The movie's been out for like 3 weeks. They keep selling out of 70mm IMAX showings.
Good.
That's insane.
It deserves it.
It absolutely deserves it, but I'm saying that's insane. That's unheard of, especially post-COVID.
All the cred. And Cillian Murphy needs to win all the awards.
If Cillian Murphy does not get Best Actor...
He might get Best Actor.
He better get Best Actor.
He's earned it. My God, he's earned it through this.
Yeah, he's absolutely fucking earned it. He's earned that award.
I'm trying to think of another person. It is... made a movie this year that may get it, and he does seem like the front runner currently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's anything big in the line.
I don't know what else is slated for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm getting married in October. The rest of my year is kind of a haze.
Kind of blocked out.
Yeah, I'm kind of spoken for. But Nolan movie comes out, everybody slobbers over it.
Yeah,
and if it's good, then everybody slobbers harder.
A Nolan movie is a shoe-in to at least get one thing, and
it's a shoe-in to at least get a nomination.
Yeah.
As far as winning goes, it's not a guarantee.
Sure,
but it's certainly up there. It's Nolan carries almost as much weight as Spielberg, I would argue, as far as coming out with
in
nominations
this point in
and
time, more. He's definitely got
you know
more
what?
now.
Yeah, that's right. Indiana Jones came out. You think that's getting any nods?
Well, that's not even him. That's James Mangold, who is also
but it's still
Amblin.
It's still Amblin development.
Yeah, but he's not directing.
Amblin, I think.
Yeah, but I think he's well, no, because it's Disney, so I don't even know if he's doing it.
I think he might get like an EP credit.
Sure.
Because he not owns, but no, wait.
Because Lucas wasn't on any of the Star Wars.
I don't know, man.
I mean, his name was in the credits somewhere, but it wasn't in any sort of slot.
Who knows? Anyway, that's it for Oppenheimer. We're completely done. I'm sure we've said stuff that's wrong, and if we have, please email me and tell me what it is so that I can read it and cry and maybe correct it.
Tell us why Ben Shapiro is actually right about the movie.
Yeah, tell me why Ben Shapiro is just like the best guy ever, and he should totally run for president already.
I can't wait for us to do Barbie. Oh, God. Ben has put out more Barbie content than there is length of the actual movie, and that's an actual fact. It's great.
I hate how much you know about
I know
these people.
too much about this dumb, stupid man.
I'm of the opinion, if you don't like what he has to say, you just unsubscribe and you move on.
Well, I don't watch him specifically. I watch him through other people who make fun of him. Red, we're releasing you now. You're allowed to go.
I'm free.